Welcome to Career Secrets channel, Resume Masterclass. I'm your host, Professor Edmund. Today, we will first talk about the big concepts of resume writing, applicant tracking system, ATS, and how they work. We will talk about how to develop resumes that are ATS friendly or ATS compliant, and the importance of keywords in job searches for resumes and LinkedIn profiles. We will talk about the best practices in writing resumes, expert advice on quantifying achievements to differentiate yourself and your personal brand versus just listing your responsibilities. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'm thrilled to guide you through the art of crafting compelling resumes that stand out. With a rich history of assisting hundreds in navigating their career paths successfully, I bring a wealth of practical insights to the table. My 15 plus years in marketing have been adorned with accolades, as I've mastered the craft of creating impactful value propositions. Climbing the corporate ladder, I've reached the highest sales executive job ranks within one of the globe's most prestigious software companies. As a consultant, I have also recruited executives with compensation in the $400,000 range. Now, let's elevate your professional narrative. Let me share. Number one, you should always be ready for your next career move. Sometimes the opportunity won't wait for you. You need to make sure that you are mentally and physically LinkedIn, resume, reference, and background check ready. Most people underestimate the time we take to round up our references, but it is much more than that. Today, if you want to find a job and network with a director or vice president and send a LinkedIn invite, don't you want a good picture, updated profile, and background information? You only have one chance to make a first impression. They are very likely going to see your LinkedIn profile next. In my career, I have experienced this time pressure at least 3 times. Here's an example. Years ago, while I worked for a Fortune 500 technology company, I got a call from the president of a channel partner who wanted to hire me. I went for lunch with him and got an offer letter the next day. But I only had a couple of days to respond. I was not mentally ready and thought that I had time to think about it. I didn't make the deadline, but I used the opportunity to get a significant raise from my then existing employer. You want to have an updated resume, LinkedIn profile, and at least 3 references ready. It will take you at least 2 to 3 days to round up your references. Good references are always busy and traveling. Not many people are like my good friend Lois. She actually picked up my call when traveling in Ireland. Thank you, Lois. You will need a decent business suit, a clean pressed white shirt, dress shoes, and a tie for the gentleman. Big concept number 2, your resume is your job interview agenda. I've mentioned it a few times in my various videos. Make sure you go back to the channel and watch those. Without going into details, your resume is the job interview agenda, 95+% of the time. You need to understand this and plan accordingly and strategically. We'll talk more about that when we talk about writing the ATS compliant resume. Big concept number 3, you can easily go back to your strength after a derailment. What does that mean? When you're derailed during the interview or encounter a very difficult question, you will try to recover from it. Regardless of whether you are successful, you can go straight back to talking about your strength. If you follow my methodology that I'm going to show you, your written script for recovery will be right there on your resume, and you will regain your confidence instantly. Okay, now about the development of the ATS compatible resume. What is an ATS? ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. ATS is a recruitment software that helps employers manage and streamline their recruitment process. More than 95% of Fortune 500 companies use ATS to scan and screen candidate resumes. So how do we make sure that your resume is ATS compliant? Number 1, Use a minimalist design for your resume. In order for the ATS in order to be ATS friendly or compliant, you want to deploy a minimalist design. What does that mean? You want to eliminate fancy fonts, fancy formatting, graphics, symbols, and pictures, including your portraits and logos. You may want to use more traditional fonts such as Times New Roman, Arial, and Calibri, etc. You must also follow the file submission requirements very carefully. Avoid using PDFs. Microsoft Word or text formats are the best. Don't use headers and footers. Remove your photo and put it on your LinkedIn profile. You should also use your name for the file name. For example, if your name is Taylor Sweet, use taylorsweet.docs as a file name. Number 2, use keywords strategically. Make them job description specific. When scanning resume, an ATS system looks for keywords in your resume that are related to the job requirements. For example, if company A is looking for a marketing manager with 5 years of people management and software industry related experience, and if you have marketing manager, the keyword, and the word software and 3 software company names on your resume, you will have a much better chance of the ATS shortlisting you for the position. The position of that keyword, of those keywords, and the frequency are also key to you being selected. Unrelated to this, you should also add the LinkedIn profile web link onto your resume. Number 3, use actual client company names. You should be proud of the companies that you work for. Dropping company names is fine. Unless you work for a national security agency, you don't have to worry about using company names because your resume are supposed to be confidential anyway. Recruiters may be looking for experience and relationships with leading companies in specific industry. Go ahead and add the relevant company names to your resume. Number 4, quantify your accomplishments. In a recent interview with Lisa Collingsworth, the founder and general manager of the Phantom Talent Group, I asked the $2 million question. What was the biggest problem with resumes? I have the exact same observation as Lisa. She has read millions of resumes, and I've read tens of thousands of resumes. We have the same conclusion. The biggest problem with resumes is that people put down their responsibilities instead of their accomplishments or achievements. What's the problem with that? Let's say you have a simple entry in your resume. Managed customers in the Chicago area. That seems like a decent entry, isn't it? But your colleague sitting next to you can have the same exact entry. What if you have another 4 colleagues with a similar or slightly different entry? How are you going to differentiate yourself? Now, if you are a recent college graduate, how many students are in your class, in your program, at the college, and all the other colleges combined in your metro area? Number 5, use action verbs. Use as many action verbs as possible and start every entry, if possible, with an action verb. For example, achieved, advanced, attained, awarded, built, consolidated, contracted, created, designed, developed, directed, enhanced, established, exceeded, executed, expedited, generated, grew, improved, initiated, launched, led, managed, motivated, orchestrated, overhauled, oversaw, planned, promoted, produced, recommended, resolved, spearheaded, transformed, and won. Please also look at the 40 powerful action words video on my Career Secret channel. There's a video on it. Number 6, put the strongest, most relevant strengths on the top half of the first page of your resume. So this is the top of my first page. Put it on top half. You may want to put together a summary or profile, which will appear on top, with the most relevant strength for the specific position that you're applying for. It is very simple. This will help you get shortlisted, whether by human beings or AI, whether they use ATS software or not. This will also help you make sure that you talk about your strength first. It will also help you go back to the talking points about your strengths when you got sidetracked or stumped by a question. Your strengths should be right there on the top part of the first page of your resume. And you go straight back to the agenda, the resume, when you're in trouble. Number 7, proofread, 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 double and triple check. A resume is also a summary of your personal brand. Spell check, grammar check is standard for most software. It is a crime not to use these standard tools available to you. I'm not an English major, but I saw the word overseen on its own in a sentence in the resume. The past participle here is a form of verb, but not a tense, so it cannot be used alone as a verb. That was not a good mistake. So make sure you double check for consistency. Please also make sure that the dates are consistent. A big time gap or overlapping dates for full-time jobs will invite questions. The bottom line is that you don't want to invite time-wasting questions that will steer you away from talking about why they should hire you. A glaring mistake is similar to saying to the recruiters, I want to highlight that I'm careless and sloppy. Would you like to hire me? Before we sign off today, I want to spend a few minutes on the biggest challenge for most candidates, documenting your accomplishment. I will do this by demonstrating how to convert responsibilities into achievement directly. Simple example. This is a responsibility or a job description. You want to change it to lead a team of 5 marketing specialists and achieve 150% of the target. It's loose because it's just an example, not real life. For you, you have the real life actual numbers, dollar sign, and percentages. Promoted to team lead and manager. So this is not a bad one, but this is more of a fact rather than an accomplishment. Similarly, promoted to team leader and then manager, all within 10 months. So it's quantitative. Led a team of 15 support staff. Good one. Next example, responsible for answering customer emails. So this is exactly a responsibility. Improved customer issue resolution rate from 79% to 95% and satisfaction rate to 98%. Pharmacist in a BC pharmacy. Actually, not a bad one. But how about conducted therapeutic and technical checks of 400 prescriptions a day? That's a lot. Now, this one comes up all the time. Hardworking, not even a responsible. Hardworking usually appears in junior candidates' resumes. It is a challenging skill to master. I'm just kidding. No one would put in their resumes that they are lazy or dumb. So this is not a differentiator. My question to you is, how hardworking are you? Do you work 24 hours a day? And what have you accomplished by working so hard? So this is a hint. Hopefully it'll give you some ideas. How about something like this? Receive 4 certifications in 3 months. That's hardworking, but with accomplishments. How about something like completed a 2-year MBA program in 1 year? That was me. That's a fact. That's in my resume. This is actually inspired by one of the ones that I've seen recently. This is actually a very nicely crafted responsibility. But how about changing it to something more numbers related? And here, the KPIs. You can actually find some KPIs within the organization. So you want to dig deeper into it. Restocked all merchandise in 10 categories, so in 10 areas, and exceeded all KPIs. Escalating unresolved issue. This is a responsibility to the right colleagues for timely resolution. Not a bad one, neither. Triaged and escalated unresolved issues. Improve resolution rates and customer satisfaction rating by 10% and 15%. That's pretty good. Before I go there, When I coach people on resumes, the most common feedback was, I don't remember, my boss doesn't work there anymore. We're only looking for ballpark numbers to indicate your caliber. Even if your boss worked there today, you would not call him or her anyway. They won't remember your numbers either. So what's the difference? You have to do a good guess. Your guess is probably the best that anybody can do for you. However, please don't lie. In my 25 years in sales, I have only been asked once for a detailed account for my wins and numbers. The recruiter actually said that the client asked everyone to do so. To conclude, you must approach resume writing strategically. Make sure your resume is ATS compatible. You should also make sure that you put your relevant strengths with the strong keywords at the top half of the first page of your resume. In the next few weeks, I will release a number of experts interviews. I have been asking these long-term people managers how and why they pick the successful candidates. There are also different career secret videos on AI, software, IT, sales, and sales engineering careers. How can you ace an interview? How can you prepare for an AI career? And 6 steps to planning your career, and many more. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, I'm your host, Professor Edmund. Thank you for watching.